It is a bloody pimple, Shorty. Look at the focus I've got on that. Is that the kind of focus you were talking about when you said you wanted to talk about focus?
Yep.
That's right.
Yep. Nailed it.
Not unlike me to take it off the, sideways off the cafe. So I'm checking it out tonight. I'm checking out my internet. I'm trying to do something a bit different. And look, if I disappear, hopefully you don't, because that'd be a bonus.
And I've got access to the button, even better.
Oh, you have. You got access to the button. Do you know what? Everybody probably loves that. It makes it a bit easier for everyone else, right?
How good is that?
Hey, it's time to reconnect. It's time to bridge that gap. The time is now. We do it with a smile. How are you tonight?
Mate, I'm really well. Welcome to What's Up Wednesdays. This is an opportunity for us to share about what's been happening in the lovely world of the business of smiles. The Scott and Shorty show of we turning up here every Wednesday to have a chat, have a conversation, to connect, and to bring a smile to your dial as we have these amazing conversations. Mate, what's been happening in your world?
Oh, heaps. Just heaps. Back at 45, which I am absolutely loving, right? It's this is smiles. We try to do our little bits and pieces in different communities, and to be back at 45 amongst people with high energy, and it's such an important part of my life training. It's such an important part of my day, getting up, getting it done, and just jumping into it. Like this morning, I was up there, 4:45, just having a smile, like with other people getting it done. It was just fantastic. I'm absolutely loving it. So Cranberry and F45, if you want to come and train with me, come and train with me. Come and hurt me. Put me through my paces. Or will I put you through yours? Yeah, not lifting 10 kilos, I won't. And I can't do a push-up at the moment. So, but anyway. What's going on in your world, Shorty?
But a 21K yesterday with a lovely bunch of ladies. So the crew at CrossFit Ballina, Binksy, she last 4 years, every Anzac Day, she got together a group, amazing PT at CrossFit Ballina. And last 4 years, she's been getting a crew together and they've been running a 21Ks. And this year we did it for the 4th year in a row. Yours truly was the token male, very privileged to be part of it. And it was a great run, great connecting run, talking to the ladies. 6 o'clock, we did a minute silence. And gosh, I'll tell you what, from going from the 10 to 12Ks that I have been doing up to 21, yeah, we've got a long way to go.
I love that. Like the other day when I did the half, right? I had a backpack full of socks. I was up for pain, and I gifted, a big smile to people, and it made things much better for me. Took the focus off the pain because I was out and about, getting around other people, which is something extraordinary. Like, how are the legs today after the 21K?
Fine. Yeah, really fine. Walked this morning, walked tonight, and one of the things I did realize I forgot to cut one of my big toenails back, so I think I'll be losing that toenail.
Oh, nice! I love that. I do love the world of running.
Yeah. Used to it. Standard.
100%. You know what I noticed the other day, which is I wear through my socks on the toes. Right? I'm back in the gym at the minute, and my body's pretty tight as I work back into everything. I'm doing deadlifts, and I'm watching my big toes go. Yes. I'm like, that's so funny because I've got to get back in and get my toes back in and grounded, right? Because it's just such an important part. Otherwise, when you get tired, things fall apart. Not fall apart, you lose your stride, and that's something. One of the reasons why we train, not just running, we train all the gym stuff, because we've got to make sure we're all over strong.
Totally.
So why are we doing that? October 4, yeah? So actually, that reminds me. It's good little notes for myself there. Little October form. I love that. I love that when that happens. So tonight, I rang up my good mate tonight, and he was busy. And I said, "Topic, give me a topic." He's on focus, and I've gone, right. Is this for me or is it for everyone else today, Shorty? Because let's be honest, right? Like,
so let me unpack that, because the reason why I said that. At the end of each week, personally I recap my week, and I recap all the coaching sessions that I've had throughout the week. So I can do anywhere up to 30 to 40 coaching sessions in a week, right? And I look back and I review the week and I go, what is the common themes? What were my wins? What were my challenges? What were my key lessons? What do I need to be doing differently? But I look at what are the themes that a lot of my clients were experiencing. What were they coming to me for? What were they experiencing? And then I get up the mirror and I go, ooh, okay, so where is that playing out in my life? And then that allows me to go, let's unpack that. Let's have a look at that. Is that true for me? Is that something I need to investigate? And usually 8 times out of 10, that's something where it's like, there's a reminder. And so that's why it's like, where is it? We had a conversation this morning, and then it was, for me, it was just like, well, where is that playing out in my life? So it's like, oh, that's a good topic, right? So focus. What does focus mean to you?
Well, it's interesting. Are you okay if we just talk openly about? Do you want me to talk, right? As we do, right? So one of the things that we're talking about is, like, Shorty and I do this for love, right? We don't do this because we make money out of it. We do this because we genuinely give a shit about our communities. We genuinely care about other people. We like to touch hearts with other people, right? And one of the things for myself has been that cross section of what's the business of Smiles and what's Scott Carson, right? Because my identity is so wrapped up inside the business of Smiles that I want to focus. I need to separate the two so that I can start focusing on a safe place to land, and the opportunity came up where we stream. When I stream, I click all the links and I just stream it, right? And then Shorty and I were having a conversation today, and Shorty goes, what's the message that he's projecting? What is it? What am I putting on his platforms when that platform is for him? And I'm like, oh, that's a really good point. Right. And I need to take that on myself. What am I projecting? What am I, for lack of better words, selling? Like the business of Smiles, it becomes a really unclear message when I mix up the business of Smiles, and then there's Shorty with James Short's coaching, and there's Scott Carson with a safe place to land. It becomes messy. What are we focusing on? And I think that was a really good reminder. Do you know what I mean? Like, it was a good clarification for me. What is it that I need to project in? What is I need to be focusing on? The reality is I need to be focusing on building a fuel tank that's going to allow me to do more of the business of Smiles. So I have to work on a safe place to land, to build that up, so then we've got more resources, can support more people, and also tack in with the business of Smiles. So it's interesting. So what about, and one thing I do know about focus, which is a super interesting thing, right? Wherever you put your focus, you get reward, right? You could be focusing on positive, you get positive reward. If you focus on negative, you get negative reward. Where you focus, you get reward. So That's a big one. So I want to open that up back to you, Shorty. I mean, like, what is focus to you?
Focus to me is identifying what you are working on and bring in the right characteristics, behaviors, and traits in order to work on that effectively, efficiently, productively. So, what I mean by that is when I'm doing this, I'm doing this.
Mm-hmm.
When I'm doing my coaching, I'm doing my coaching. When I'm doing family time, I'm doing family time. When I'm training, I'm training. A lot of people say, I want more balance in life. And I challenge that analogy. I just say, well, maybe it's not a balancing, maybe it's a focus thing. And I've been guilty of this before of having family time, but thinking about the business, training and then, thinking about other things. And so what I've constantly remind myself personally is okay, what am I focusing on right now, and who do I need to be? What are the characteristics that I need to bring to the table in order to focus on that? And I find if I get too busy with too many things, it becomes a not very nice type of sandwich, and I get into overwhelm and the wheels fall off. So the ability to go, all right, what are the key areas of focus? And then where am I weak? Am I dedicating time and energy to that? So I can be the best version of me in that area of focus to achieve that best results. But when the plate is too full and you try and eat too many things, you just get bloated, and it's not a pretty sight when you get bloated for anyone around the dinner table a few hours later. That's for sure.
100%, right? And it's just overindulging. Like I did a presentation last year at Raven Football Club, and went really well. And I was asked back to come back to do another presentation just quickly, and it was interesting because I had a good chat with Steve Rolfe, a cracking guy, and it's like, what are you going to do over the summer? And then I sat and thought about that. Why do we keep adding to our plate? I said to the guys, I said, what are you not going to do over the summer? What are you going to not do that's going to make you better and stronger? You know, like even today, you're sitting down and working through that myself. What do I need to step away from at the minute in order to get the things I want to get done? What's it going to take to get a run from Sydney to Melbourne done? What's it going to take to get a safe place to land up and running? What's it going to take to really connect to communities? You know, like, and it's like I'm absolutely loving the Smiles for Life opportunity in Frankston. I'm loving that, you know, and I've got to look at how much energy I put into getting that done, because it doesn't put food on the table, you know, like it's, you know, you spend a solid 8 hours a week focusing on that, you know, and it's heart stuff. What does it take away from? What is it? What am I not getting because I was focused on that? What's the cost of that energy? What's the cost of that focus? You know? And I love it. I love the fact that we can actually sit there and ask that question. I love the fact that we can actually open that up, right? Like this is a good comment, right? Focus is where energy is concentrated like a laser, 100%. But what's the reward you're getting for that focus? You know, and
I heard a funny story today. Warren Buffett and Bill Gates sat down at a table, and someone who was interviewing asked them one question, how they started, and the question was, what was the main characteristic that allowed you to be so successful? And they both wrote down the same thing: focus.
Ah. Wonder what that's bringing up for people watching.
It's interesting. And I've been realizing it more and more since obviously moving up to Lennox Head. And when I go down to Sydney, I see and I feel the different areas of focus. And I've caught myself so many times, getting back onto that go wheel of, trying to do. And when I go down there and I can feel the energy, feel the buzz, the buzzness of it, and just seeing people just a lot of doing, do. They're just, and then when I come up, like, I was speaking to a mate even this afternoon, and he sends me photos and images and videos of his beach, and I do of my beach, and his beach is at Coogee, and I'm at Lennox Head, and literally, like, at 6 o'clock in the morning, there's like 50 to 100 people on the beach. And even at 7 o'clock this morning, there was me and two other people in the beach, in the water, no one on the beach. And the metaphor around that is the different levels of intensity, obviously, is city compared to regional, but the energy then that has in the rest of the day of people, 5 a.m., 6 a.m., just go, session. All right, breakfast. Yep. All right, office, go. Like traffic. It's just that intensity. And when we relate it to focus, it's like there are so many focuses to because there's so much doingness around it. It's quite an interesting, for me, seeing that and now peeling that back of, like, where is that real focus needs to be. And if I have, I'm not saying for everyone else, but if I have that clear, concise focus, time actually allows me to do more of things that I could do if I wasn't in Sydney or in a big city, like walks on the beach, like hanging out with the kids and play games. So it for me, it's a really interesting awareness piece of, like, where that focus goes, the energy flows.
Yeah, 100%. Like, I invest a lot of my time in Oscar, and I reap reward there. I invest a lot of time in my community. I reap reward there. And I know, and I love the fact that Beryl's here, because Beryl and I have had a few conversations, and it's not unlike Shorty is. When we're sitting there, we're absolutely 100% present, and that's a focus. And I know that when I sit with someone, if I'm not focused on them, and I have to say that, I have to stop for a second because I'm not focused. If I'm not focused, I miss out on the gold. I miss out on the energy, which, that beautiful transfer of energy. I think that's something that, when we have conversations, I think it's interesting. Like, I'm just going back through to a little conversation I had Wednesday last week, with two young women walking towards us, and I got a smile, right? I was wearing a smiling shirt, and I just thanked them for doing their best, and said, "This a cut pair of socks. I just really want to thank you for that right now." And the most beautiful thing happened. They shared some energy with me and created this beautiful, positive engagement. Where was their focus for the rest of the day? Some stranger has just given them a pair of socks with a smile, and for the rest of the day, their focus would have been a positive energy, right? And we talk about focus, and I think understanding what you're projecting is also important to focus on, right? Because I was standing there with a guy and talking about it, and I said, "Let's just think about this, every single time they open their drawer, they're going to see those socks. They'll see it. It's in their focus, and they'll feel good about it. They'll remember that moment, the joy that brings, you know. And I've heard that so many times in what we do, you know. So focus, what's in sight for us, you know. Like, so I'm gonna ask you a question, Shorty, and I'm gonna put your coaching hat on. All right. How do we find focus?
How do we find focus? For me, there's a couple of different components around that. There's a really good book called The One Thing. Highly recommend it. It's a really great read. It allows to identify what's that one thing that's going to allow other things either go away or actually make it easy to do. The essence of that also is to look at what are the distractions that are taking you away from your focus. So, for example, if you're writing an email, do you have your socials notifications or your other emails come up, or your phones ring, or you're distracted with work colleagues or whatever it is? So what are the distractions that you can minimize? Turn off notifications, turn off emails, put a do not disturb sign, divert your phone so you can have focus to write that email or write that letter. So that's just taking away the distractions. The question around then, who do I need to be in order to do that focus thing, I think is a really big thing, because I've mentioned before on our WhatsApp Wednesdays is the little process I do in the car before I step into home. It's like, I'm about to walk in home, and who do I need to be? I need to be the loving husband and the awesome dad. All right, how does that look and how does that feel? And I think about a past event where I was that loving husband and awesome dad, and I bring on those characteristics on me, through me, in me, that I've experienced in the past, and my whole energy shifts, my tonality shifts, my energy shifts, and then allows me to be more present and focused on where I'm going into. So, I do a lot of work in the real estate space. So it's who do you need to be in to go into that meeting or that appointment or that conversation. It's what are those characteristics that you need to draw upon. And I find when we draw upon that, the focus just gets really laser, as we've already mentioned, because you're actually drawing upon the characteristics that's going to allow you to succeed, not mismatching. And that's where I guess the biggest challenge is when we've got something that we need to do, and then we're thinking about the kids, and then that's a different characteristics that we draw upon when we're hanging out with our kids, but we need to write this letter. So we're having this internal dialogue battle in our heads of like, oh, so cool, so fun. Yeah, okay, now. And then so we actually waste so much time and energy because we're jumping between the two characteristics. We're not actually drawing upon those characteristics that's going to allow us to get that activity or that focus work done in the short amount of time. And the last piece around that is to chunk focus activities with similar characteristics. And what I mean by that, if you're going to make a bunch of phone calls, make a bunch of phone calls all at once, compared to, I got a phone call here, then I got a meeting here, and then I got an appointment here, and then I'm going to write a letter. So you constantly focus changes. When you chunk those focus pieces together with similar characteristics, oh my gosh, your focus work just goes through the roof. So you can really nail so much in such a short period of time, which then allows you to focus on other areas where you might bring you more love, joy, and connection, i.e. family, health, and whatever that might look like for you. So there's my 30 cents worth. What about for you?
I reckon that was at least 35, to be honest, Shorty. Oh, it's interesting because like you and I have had very differing experiences in life, right? That have brought us to the now. And one of the things that has given me very clear focus on what is important to me. Like understanding what's important to you is probably for me the biggest thing when you decide things. Like I've sat with many, many men that have had poor relationships with their children. I've sat with many men who have regretted that, and I've seen the outcomes of that with kids, So I will prioritize time with my son. I will make sure I've got I've got him in my life for this amount of time. I will negotiate everything else around making sure that I can be the best version of me for him during this period. And I love that. Like it's very important for me to pick him up every day from school if I can. Like as much as I possibly can, because it's that moment in time, like that I can't get back. So I prioritize and focus on making sure those things happen. I'm pretty sure, he's 12 now. He's thinking a lot, and he's, but he's at the point now where it's very soon. I'm not going to be that important to him. There'll be other things creeping in. Last night I had a 4 a.m. start this morning, and it was a big day for me, a Wednesday. And what was fantastic is last night is that I need to talk. I'm like, it's 9:30, dude. I got to get some sleep, but this is important. And okay, you know what? I need to hear it because I'm not going to be able to sleep before I don't process this. So we sat and we talked and we shared some stuff, and it was just focused on him because it's my priority. It's a lot easier to make decisions when you know what your priorities are. So because every decision you make comes with consequences, positive and negative. It's just what you're prepared to juggle and what you're not prepared to juggle.
Yeah.
So yeah, what's that bringing up?
Totally. It was totally agreement and alignment with that. So priorities are so important, particularly that aligns with what's important to you and in your life. So definitely agree.
Yeah. So. Oh, well, that's my questions.
Love it.
I look at
Totally.
I sat down and wrote them down, and we've covered all of what we need to do. So I just want to ask you a question, Shorty. If people don't know where to focus, what advice would you give them?
Is to come back to your values, come back to what the great question is a values alignment question is what is important to me. What is important to me in relations to family? What's important to me in relations to my health? What's important to me in relations to my career? And when we keep on asking ourselves that question, it starts to elicitate certain values around that area. And I think that will then have a really good starting point to allow you to determine where the focus needs to be. Because we are values driven people, consciously or subconsciously. And that's where we can really have a big impact in what is important to you based around those different areas in the life. So that's where I would suggest to start with. What about you?
Get pen and paper, just write down what's important to you, and then just simply number it. Give everything a number. Understand what's important, and then focus on what that means to you, what you want to allocate to it. What's your not negotiables around that? Like what are the things that you want to make sure happen in your life so that you don't have that empty space in your heart? Like that's one thing for me that I'm going to share something. Actually, I'm going to go a bit sideways. I was working with someone today, and I think this is important, actually. And we talked about how he was turning up in the world. He's got some really big, heavy situations, and There's so many emotions coming with it, big emotions, like really getting put to the wall. So he's got anger, he's got frustration, he's got all this stuff building up in him. And I processed it, got all the names of the emotions out, and then we went through the emotions, and I then I let him chill for a bit. And then I went back into him and brought them all up for him. And then I asked him, where's he holding them? Where are you holding them? Where are you feeling that anger, frustration, sadness, hurt, pain? Where are you feeling it? It's in his head and his hands. And you could see it all. So I need you to take a big, deep breath. Suck it all into your heart. And then blow it out with love for your family. Because in reality, all of that pain and frustration was because he was scared of what it could do to his family, these situations. He was really scared that the love he's got for his family and all those members could really be affected by this situation.
Mm.
But it wasn't until we shifted that energy could we go back into what's important.
Mm.
You know, and that for me was just extraordinary. And like, I'm so proud of this guy. So proud of this guy for being open enough to sit there and try something new for him. He went from a 10 to a 2. A 10 to a 2. Just by sitting in the emotions, understanding where they're sitting, and then releasing it. You know, it was just amazing. And I you know, I love what we do, Shorty. And I mean, you and I, you know, we bounce on these sorts of things when we talk. Where do you feel it in your body, right? Whose is it? Holy moly!
Mm.
You know, that's a whole nother thing. But I don't want to give away all of our tricks of the trade, but but at the same time, right? It's in order to do these things, you've got to have focus with that person. You've got to be there with
Yeah.
them. You've got to be able to feel and know when to go in and pull out, and you know, and that's the beautiful thing about it. When you focus on one another, you can feel that. So, yeah,
Love it.
so proud of
Love it.
this guy too. I'm so proud of him. Like, that's just love in its best form. You know, when he's choosing to release it with love in his heart. You know, like, wow.
Mm.
So anyway,
Well, there we go. There we go. Love it.
Hey, Shorty,
Oh, yeah.
how do you make a tissue dance?
Don't know how.
Put a little booger in it.
Oh my gosh. On that note, everyone, thank you everyone for tuning in for another session of What's Up Wednesday. Have a wonderful evening. Looking forward to seeing you everyone next week on What's Up Wednesdays. Have a good night. Bye for now.
Have you got the button?